right, looks like we're live. Going to be a quick training today, doing it a little bit earlier than normal, but I think that you guys are really going to enjoy this training. So, have you ever had a situation where you see the insanity of repeating patterns, whether for yourself or your team members or somebody around you? That you see them doing the same thing over and over again, they're not getting results, they feel stuck, and you know that they're afraid of change. Maybe this person is you, maybe it's somebody that you work with. So, today we're going to be talking about what to do when you see these patterns of avoidance, of not wanting to change, even if you know that this is something that you wanted to change in your life, but you can't seem to follow through on it. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So, I'm going to give you some tips and strategies on how you can help yourself move forward or help those around you move forward by understanding the process. Okay, if this is your first time joining me, my name is Tina and I'm a happiness coach, and I help business owners and leaders deal with the emotional side of um, business and life. Okay, so let's start. We have the past, the present, and the future. How many times have we been told to leave the past in the past? Have you guys heard that before? Just leave the past in the past. It's not relevant. Just focus on the present and what actions you need to take and move forward. Great advice. How many people have the knowledge of the things that they need to do, yet still are not able to make the changes that they know that they need to make? And all this fear, all this anxiety might come up for you. So, there are times where you actually do need to look at your past, especially if you're not able to make the changes that you want to make in your life. So, the first thing that we need to understand about the past is that the past is a record of our wins and losses. So, of things that we've done right, of things that we haven't done right. And this is set up this way so that we know which pathway to take, what actions are repeatable and will get us the results that we're looking for. And so, if we are defaulting to a loop of where we're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result, and then we end up giving up, I don't think anybody ever really gives up. They just don't know the solution to move forward, because everybody who understands what the solution is, you've been able to remove the fear and the roadblocks, everybody will take the action of least resistance to get to their results. So if you find that you are not able to do that, it's because you haven't found the answer that works for you. So you haven't given up. You haven't thrown in the towel. You just haven't found what's worked yet. Okay? So stick around. You're going to find some answers, some solutions here today. So when we think of the past, all of the things that we've done before, they create the records of whether that was successful. If we do this, we will get this result, this desired result. And if we don't do this, then we'll get the unfavorable result. So this starts to create beliefs within ourselves. If we have more wins stacked up, we believe that we can change, we can do something differently. If we have a lot of losses stacked up of ineffective methods that didn't work for us before, then we're going to create a belief that we can't change, that this is just the way things are and we have to accept it, right? So, and oftentimes we get stuck. Sometimes it's not just the wins or the losses, sometimes it's the voices of authority in our past, whether that was our parents, whether that was a boss, maybe that was a friend or a loved one that told us certain things. And maybe it's not evidence based, but we trusted them. So we believed them more because of our trust for them. So if they tell us that it's not possible, so say a kid that loves art or loves music and their parents keep telling them, you need to get a real job. That's not a real job. You can't make money doing that. You're not gifted. You're not talented. You're not this. You're not that. Even if the child has evidence that they are skilled, that they can develop the skill, that they do improve in that, the voices of authority are going to overwrite and create a belief that it is not possible. And so, because of that, we will end up defaulting or not even trying to change because of these filters, these beliefs that were created. And so, this is why it's really important to be able to look at the past to understand where did these beliefs come from. Now, people that had a high degree or they saw a lot of examples of it success. So maybe their parents were artists, so they know this is possible. They know it's true to that you can make a living as an artist or a singer or this or that, whatever it is. So they have a high degree of belief. They know it's possible. Just like children that grow up in wealthy families, they often continue to be wealthy because they know it's possible. There's a certain mindset, a way of thinking, a way of behaving that ends up becoming normal for them, and they learn to stack up the wins that that route is possible for them. So the fourth thing is once we understand what those patterns are, what those beliefs are, and what the wins and losses are, we can start to change the filters, change the beliefs that we view everything from by stacking new wins. We have to create new filters and we have to create new evidence to show us that the path to change is possible. This happens as well in business. So usually if it's the first time you've tried to implement a change either in a new policy, a new system, a new culture, a new way of thinking, the first time everybody's all gung-ho, they're all on board and everything. But if those same people have been in other organizations or they've gone through even within your organization where that change that was implemented or that system that was implemented wasn't actually successful, what that's going to do is it's going to start to create filters and ways of belief that may prevent them from wanting to try to change in the future. So it's important that we learn from our wins and our losses and learn to be able to redirect those losses so that we can start to build evidence that creates faith and belief that change is possible. Okay? So let's look at the future when we are feeling a lot of fear and we get a lot of anxiety at the thought of changing something. What's happening is when we're confronted with a possible change, it'll either bring up fear or excitement. So we're either going to have like a hell no reaction or a hell yes reaction. And we're going to either want to run towards that change or run away from that change. And understanding what comes up for us, because it's the same section in our brain that gets activated. I don't know which one it is. I just remember people talking about this, brain scientists. I'm not good with the labels. So it activates that same section in the brain. So if anybody knows what that is, comment below and tell me what that section is, and maybe I'll remember the label for it. But it activates the same section in the brain, and it's our filters, our beliefs, so whether we stacked up wins or losses as to whether or not we're going to run towards or run away from this change that's being implemented, right? So think of, say you went on vacation somewhere and it was a bad experience. It's like the hotel was terrible, the food was terrible, you got food poisoning, the service was bad, whatever it was, you had something that negative that happened. The likelihood of you wanting to go to that same place again when somebody says, "No, I had a great experience at that," and you're like, "Well, I didn't, I don't want to go there." Um, so you're going to have that because of your past experience, you're bringing that filter, and somebody might be saying, but they've changed management, they've done these things have improved. You're still going to be reluctant to try again because of that bad experience. So when we recognize that it is a filter from the past that is preventing us from trying again, that's all quitting is you're resistant to trying again. And if you are, and the fear of being presented with a change of something that we want or a result that we want, we are feeling that if we try this again, it's going to be the same situation as the past. And the more that we try and the more that we fail, then the more the resistance will come up, and the greater the fear, the greater the anxiety that we think of. If I go down this path of unknown, I don't know what success is like on the other side. It can be very scary, even if somebody's saying, but if you just do these things, you're going to find success. And you're like, that's great, but I've tried this stuff before and I've failed so many times, and I don't know how to get over and stack up the wins so that I can make a successful change. So we will often be angry or resistant to anybody trying to change anything on us or trying to, so you'll find this in companies and businesses, excuse me, where you're putting in a new system and the guy that's been there for 20 years or something, he's like, oh yeah, here we go again, rolls eyes and, negative comments, curmudgeon attitude, and everybody kind of dismisses them. The newer employees are like, yeah, let's do this, we can change this, it's going to be amazing, it's going to be great. Why? Because they haven't been through the repeated failures. This other guy has been through repeated failures, but everybody is on the team. So understanding the people that are resistant to change, they're not necessarily negative. We just need to remove the fear that they're feeling, and we need to be able to stack up wins to show them that real change is actually possible. And then we're going to find that they're going to want to be more open to it. They're going to want to participate in it. Maybe last time they tried to warn somebody about something that was a problem and they got shut down. And so now, and then afterwards found out that yes, it was a problem. And now they have this belief that if they try to call something out, that their voice is not going to be heard. So whatever their objection, whatever their challenge or resistance to the change is, those need to be addressed. And when you're trying to do changes in a big organization, everybody is going to be at a different level of fear or excitement about the change. And being able to bring everybody on board means addressing emotions at individual levels. So understanding that change isn't just about implementing a system and hitting the project target lines. It's about dealing with the emotional side of the business and each one of the humans that you're dealing with. Even if it's a positive change, people will be resistant to it. Maybe it's not your team. Maybe your team's all on board, but your customers are like, hell no, we wanted it the old way. What do you mean you're changing the menu? I come here for these things and I want these challenges, right? Or these products. And now you're telling me you're changing them? Well, that is going to bring up an emotional reaction for some of your customers. So know that with every time you make a change in your business, there will be an emotional reaction. And if you're not prepared or understand the process of change, then you're going to get a lot of resistance and sometimes downright sabotage. So you definitely need to make sure you address the fears that come up. Removing the fears is going to create greater buy-in and greater excitement. And what we need to do in order to reduce those fears is find where is their connection to the past, where is their resistance. It's tied to the past. So this is the past and the future that we're dealing. They're tied together. And this is what we need to do is what is the connection in the past that's preventing them from wanting to move forward, okay? And embrace this change. So here's the 3 things that you need to do in the present moment, because the present is all that we have to work with. This is why everybody focuses and says, oh, just deal with the present. But if you don't have an understanding of the past and the future and what's coming up for people, then you're going to be ineffective in dealing with it in the present moment. So number 1 is we need to identify, is it a pattern of fear or excitement? Because sometimes people will run towards it and they're all excited in the beginning, but then they pull back when things get hard because they like the, so imagine somebody who jumps from relationship to relationship, or they get shiny object syndrome. They like the excitement of things being new and they don't have any expectation. They are just like, oh, it's new, it's shiny, it's great, I'm learning new things, it's exciting. It's like those people, when it starts to get routine or they start to hit challenges, they might pull back and then they might be resistant to change because they don't know the skill of being able to work through that, because maybe their way of dealing with things was to run away from things when they got hard and go do something that's easy when it's new, right? Because that is something that is, there's not a whole lot of expectations on you when things are brand new, right? It's the same old, same old. It's like, oh, now this has gotten boring. Now this has gotten repetitive. Now this has gotten hard, and it doesn't have that exciting dopamine hit in the beginning. So rather than try to fix it, they lack the skill of being able to repair, to stick through, to understand the emotions that are coming up, and then how to follow through with that. If it's a pattern of fear, then they've been through a lot of stuff before. They've probably had some sort of past trauma, and you don't get to define what trauma is. Your version of trauma may not be their version of trauma. So if it's their first time, they got really scared or they got hurt bad by something, then they're going to be resistant to it. So whatever those emotions are, you need to understand, first of all, your own pattern. Is it fear or excitement? Are you excited for this change, or are you resistant to this change? Because even as leaders and business owners, we maybe have been through changes before and you're like, oh, here we go again. Okay, now I got to say these things and I got to do these things, and they're not going to listen and they're not going to do the things that we want, and we're wasting a bunch of money. And this is all stuff, it's past experiences that are preventing you from wanting to move forward with these changes. So identify the pattern of fear or excitement, knowing which way, are you running away from this or are you running towards it, and know where the particular roadblocks are. 2, you want to identify what the skill gap is, because once you identify, okay, this was my past belief, these are the experience that I had a lot of failures stacked up, and it's created a belief that I can't change. I can't do this. It's not going to be good. It's not worth the work. It's not worth the time and effort. Whatever that is, you're going to be able to identify that skill gap, and you know that other people have been able to do this change. Other people have been able to successfully do it, or maybe you do have some sort of belief there's got to be a better way to do this. Whatever that is, you need to identify the gap between the past and the future. And what are the skills that you need to learn or develop in order to make sure that change is possible. Maybe you don't know how to communicate. Maybe you don't know how to work out properly. Maybe you don't know the foods to eat. Maybe you don't know the tech that's needed for the system to work efficiently. Maybe you don't have the right people. Maybe you don't know how to properly hire people. Whatever the skill gap is, where is your fear? What is the resistance? And what is it that you need to do to get to the other side of change? And then the third thing is we need to start stacking small wins, meaning we need to start building that belief that change is possible. So maybe, so for example, I'll give you a personal example. Before, I used to hate going to the gym because I had this belief that people go to the gym so they wouldn't look like me. So I automatically walked into the gym with a perception of that I was not good enough, I didn't belong there, people didn't like me there because they're all trying to not look like me because I was obese. I was almost 400 pounds, right? So I developed a belief that I don't belong, I shouldn't be there, all of that kind of stuff. And that made it extremely difficult for me to go to the gym. And I avoided it for the longest time. Now I actually enjoy it. I actually feel like I belong. And now I had to build the skill of not giving a shit about what other people's opinions are, that I deserve to go and move my body. Not because I was trying to look like some, you know, contest bikini model or anything else like that, but because I wanted to be stronger. I wanted to be able to move my bodies in ways that didn't make my life difficult. So I had to shift my belief and shift my perception by building small wins and challenging the belief that I can't do something. And so just showing up at the gym, just checking it out. And at first, I started with workouts at home of like, oh, well, can I actually do this? Well, is this something that I actually want? So when you stack up those wins, you start to build a belief that change is possible. And you have to do this in your business or your organization as well when you're implementing change. You have to start to build the belief with your people that change is not only necessary, but it is possible and it is enjoyable. You have to build the belief that it will be a good thing. And you have to do that by removing the fears that they might have of like, well, what if it isn't good? What do we do then? And so when you do that, you will start to see much more or much less resistance to change. So guys, that's the training for today. If you caught partway through and you want to watch the replay, sign up for my YouTube channel, subscribe, Coach Tina B 125, and make sure you click subscribe. And if this training helped you, leave me a comment. Let me know something that you learned from it so that I know that you got value out of this. Okay, and this will help somebody else who needs this. Thanks, guys. Have a great day. Bye.